All right, guys, watch this video for Thursday, May 18th. Bit of a nasty day in the SPY. Kind of glad to see it because the SPY's just been chopping around and it hasn't been great. Now some things are going to break free, and the market needed some fear, right? So this is actually, in my opinion, a good thing. We're not going to zero. No reason to panic. It's time to hopefully the new fear, I guess, if you will give us some nice setups, right? And make things a little bit whippier and a little bit more predictable, in my opinion, on an intraday basis. So I'm looking forward to trading. The market's been needing this for a long time. You hear a lot of traders say that when the market's just stupid strong, you kind of need a shock event. And so today I view actually as a good thing. So there's the SPY. I've got kind of a long watch list for tomorrow, starting with PULM. So let's bring up that chart. I had a nice trade in this one today. See, it's a really nice candle, extra volume. I'm going to slide over the screenshot chart I took. This was an intraday basis, and the reason I took this screenshot is to show you that, several people pointed out PULM as it was making this move up, but there was no clean entry other than, chasing, and I absolutely teach and adhere to this myself. I never chase, right? But the beauty of it was, as a day trader, so I say to myself, I'll just put this on a chart and see if it gives a clean setup, right? And the market was stupid weak today. And so then it comes back down, touches the 20-period moving average, 5-minute candles, and just starts chopping around. I don't trade during lunch, but I happen to be around. And I saw, thanks to somebody in the room, said, hey, PULM's getting volume. Was able to jump in as this candle was jumping up. All right, if you've taken our course, you know what a Tokyo trade is. Jumped in somewhere right in here. And you can see probably in 5, 10, I think these are 5-minute candles, $1,000 probably in 15 minutes. So, to me, there's a good lesson here. When you see something moving in the morning, really, really strong, put it on a chart. And sometimes it's just as simple as it breaking a flag on volume, just jumping in then, right? But you can't chase as it's climbing and there's no setup. But then you get the battle or the consolidation, right? The resting, whatever different people view it as different things. I just call it kind of a battle, right? Shorts are thinking it's going to come all the way back down. A lot of them do retrace and even go lower. And you can see just a stupid choppiness on almost no volume after the initial pop. But then when that volume comes in, sometimes it's just, as a trader, it's just as simple as jumping in on this candle, still at the high of day above as another catalyst, right? Then when it gets through the high of day, it does kind of this another push and then a second wave and so on. So there's money to be made. Don't ever feel like you missed a move, okay? Something gets a nice morning move, put it on a chart. I say all that to say this. PULM goes on a chart for tomorrow, right? Because it was one of the strongest stocks out there. I even made this heat map to post on StockTwits and Twitter because I think I'm funny. But I just somebody asked me what software this was on StockTwits. It was just the ugly heat map, and then I put this PULM big box in here because for me that's how the day felt, right? I ignored all this, found a good trade in PULM, and got my daily goal, right? And that's as a day trader, that's what you got to do. Don't take a trade unless and until you have a setup that makes sense, right? A lot of people, I would say most people overtrade. All right, anyway, so PULM goes on watch to see if we get a follow-through day tomorrow. CBIO, this is extremely obscure, but it did hold up well. You had this huge move back here at over 18 bucks, which was crazy, and it's done nothing ever since. But if I slide over, you can see that today it had extra volume and gapped up and kind of held above the last couple days. I believe it had news, and it was on our gap playlist this morning. We never gave any kind of a setup, but I'm going to put this on watch as kind of a sleeper. All right, we're going to keep an eye on it. Obviously, the daily chart's not that pretty. WKHS was on watch today because it had this inside candle, and you know what? I didn't take a trade in this one today, but relative strength. So worth watching. Worth watching. It's got relative strength. The market's weak, and this thing's grinding higher. CETX. You might be able to argue. It's had good news, by the way. It was on our gap playlist this morning, but just took off and ran out of the gate. I never caught a trade in it. But 15 million shares, right? Breaking out of a long base. A lot of people would say, well, look at that topping tail. It's a shooting star, whatever you want to call it. It's done. I would make the argument that this is worth watching tomorrow because it's going to be on a lot of people's radar. And you could argue that, hey, yeah, it gave a lot back, but the market was super weak. Remember, I started the video off showing you the SPY. So I do think this is worth watching for tomorrow. If the market gets any kind of strength, this one might give a clean setup, okay? SNDX, speaking of relative strength, massive volume for this stock, and it closed pretty strong, all things considered. Let's keep our eyes on that one too. GLYC, there's nothing that interesting here, but I just got an email. I was getting ready to make the video, and I just got an email from one of the members in our chat room that said, hey, I don't know if you saw GLYC or not. And so I brought it up, and in after hours, it traded up to 736. That's where it closed. It actually went higher, went over 750 before closing out somewhere right about here in after hours. So obviously it had news. Receives FDA breakthrough therapy designation for adult relapsed refractory acute myeloid leukemia. I don't know if I said all that right. So obviously it had good news and a potential gap and go play tomorrow. Looks like I don't have a float, but shares outstanding 20 million. So this one might be a nice mover tomorrow. So put GLYC on your radar as far as a potential gap and go play. CBI on Bounce Watch, a narrow range compared to yesterday. Just goes back on Bounce Watch again. I had no trades in it today. GES, same thing. No trades in it today. Goes back on Bounce Watch. HTZ, this one kind of feels like it's going to go lower because, you had the sell-off, little kind of a bear flag, and it's pushing now down through 10. But if the market catches some strength, I'm telling you, one of these days, value players are going to step in and say, I would love some Hertz in the single digits. So that one goes on watch. CAR, same space, another rental car company. If you look at this on the weekly, this low back here, the week of February 2016, so a little over a year ago, had a low of 21.72 right here. Right here it hit 21.85, and lo and behold, after 3 weeks down, it hit 21.71. So it is right at support. Back to the daily. I don't know what this is down, 7, 8, 9, 10 days in a row or something. You had one little bounce here, but basically down like 10 days in a row to that area of support. So I want to keep on my eyes on this one too for a bounce. CXW, one big down day today, broke some recent support, but then got below 30 and had a nice rebound, closing out at 30.74. Maybe that thing bounces tomorrow. Not in love with it, but I like to have a few bounce plays on watch. SORL, I also like to go to recent huge strength and then a couple days down. So that one may turn back up, especially if the market shows some strength. SGMO, same thing. Really big move, couple days lower on declining volume. And then lastly, FBIO, kind of obscure because it's a lower volume stock, but you kind of have a cup and handle, and you also have serious relative strength to the market. So over like 406 would be like the 4-day high, the 4-day high, and you had a high of 414 here. So if you get over 406, you might just rip through this 414 and take off. That's my entire list, but I'll tell you what, that's plenty to watch. Hopefully we'll find some gappers to add to that GLYC gapper tomorrow and catch some good trades. All right, have a good night. We'll see everybody tomorrow.